There's one simple truth about success. It's not built in a day. It's built day by day. Every small step, every quiet effort, every moment you choose not to give up, that's where real change happens. Some people wait for motivation to magically appear. But the strongest ones, they create it. Through consistency. Through patience. Through showing up even when no one's watching. This is the story of Nilan, a boy who almost gave up on his dream, and his father, who taught him that the smallest daily effort can lead to the biggest transformation. This story is about a boy who learned this truth. Perhaps his journey will help you understand something important. Maybe, in some way, it's your story too. Listen carefully until the end. If this resonates with you, please consider subscribing for more stories like this. Now let's go listen to my story. In a quiet little town, nestled between rolling green fields and gentle hills, lived a young boy named Nilan and his wise father Ravi. Nilan was a bright and curious kid, always full of ideas. But he had one small problem. He gave up too easily. Whether it was learning to draw a perfect circle, scoring a goal in soccer, or solving a tough math problem, if he didn't get it right in the first few attempts, he'd let out a heavy sigh and declare, "Maybe this just isn't for me." He'd walk away, leaving a trail of unfinished projects behind him, each one a testament to his fleeting enthusiasm. One evening, while scrolling through videos online, Nilan stumbled upon a clip of a friend playing the guitar. The melody was enchanting, weaving through the air and capturing his heart completely. He was mesmerized. He jumped up and ran to his father, his eyes shining with a newfound passion. "Dad, I want to learn to play the guitar too, just like that." Ravi looked at his son's excited face and smiled warmly. "That's wonderful, son. It's a beautiful instrument. But I want you to remember something important," he said, his tone gentle but firm. "Learning anything worthwhile takes time and a great deal of patience." Nilan, caught up in the moment, nodded eagerly, barely hearing the words. In his mind, he was already a rock star. He was convinced he would master the guitar in a week, maybe 2 at most. The first few days were a whirlwind of excitement. Nilan's new guitar became an extension of himself. He'd practice for hours on end, his fingers clumsily trying to form chords, his mind already drifting to sold-out stadiums and cheering crowds. He imagined himself on stage, the spotlight shining down, playing that very same melody that had first inspired him. But the dream was much sweeter than the reality. Soon, the initial excitement began to fade, replaced by a dull ache in his fingertips. The chords that sounded so simple in his head came out as a series of jarring, dissonant sounds. The smooth, flowing music he wanted to create was a chaotic mess. Frustration, his old enemy, began to creep in, wrapping its familiar arms around him. In a moment of defeat, he threw the guitar onto the couch with a thud. "I'm just not good at this, Dad," he mumbled, his voice thick with disappointment. "It's impossible." Ravi, who had been watching from the doorway, walked over and sat down beside him. He didn't scold or lecture. Instead, he looked at his son quietly for a moment before speaking. "Nilan," he said gently, "no one becomes great overnight. Not the best artists, not the greatest athletes, not the most brilliant scientists. Their secret isn't some magical talent. It's that they just keep going a little bit every single day." Nilan frowned, kicking at the leg of the couch. "But it's too hard. My fingers hurt, and it sounds awful." His father smiled a knowing smile. "That's exactly why most people stop, son. The difficulty is the filter. But you don't have to be one of them." The next morning, Ravi called Nilan out to the backyard. The sun was just beginning to warm the earth. In his hands, Ravi held a small, delicate mango sapling. He dug a little hole and carefully placed the young tree into the soil. "See this little tree?" he said, patting the earth around its base. "If I water it just once and then walk away, what do you think will happen?" Nilan shrugged. "It'll die." "Exactly," his father replied. "But what if I come out here every single day and give it just a little bit of water? Not a flood, just enough to drink." He looked at Nilan, his eyes conveying a lesson deeper than words. Consistency works the same way for our skills as it does for this tree. You don't need to practice for 5 hours in one day and then burn out. Just do something small every day, and one day, you'll look back and be amazed at what has grown. Nilan looked from the tiny sapling to his father's earnest face, and for the first time, the message truly sank in. He nodded quietly, a spark of understanding igniting within him. From that day forward, Nilan made a simple promise to himself, a pact sealed not with grand declarations but with quiet resolve. He would practice the guitar for just 10 minutes every single day. No more, no less. 10 minutes. It seemed manageable. Some days he felt motivated and the 10 minutes would fly by. On other days, the guitar felt heavy in his hands and the last thing he wanted to do was practice. On those days, he'd hear his father's voice echoing in his mind. If you water it every day, it'll grow, so he played. He played through the soreness in his fingers. He played through the frustrating, buzzing notes. He played when he was tired, when he was bored, and when he felt like he was making no progress at all. He kept watering the sapling of his new skill. And slowly, almost imperceptibly at first, something began to change. The clumsy fumbling of his fingers gave way to more confident movements. The harsh, jarring sounds began to soften, to blend, and to form melodies. The music began to sound beautiful. Days melted into weeks, and weeks blossomed into months. Nilan was so focused on his daily 10 minutes that he didn't even notice how much he had improved. He was just watering the tree. But one evening, as Ravi walked past his son's room, he was stopped in his tracks by a soft, clear melody floating through the closed door. He stood there, listening, a gentle smile spreading across his face. It was the same song Nilan had once tried and failed to play, the one that had almost made him quit. But now it flowed effortlessly, each note perfect, each chord ringing true. Ravi didn't interrupt. He just stood there silently, his eyes glistening with a quiet, profound pride. A few months later, the school announced it was holding a small talent show. Nilan's friends encouraged him to sign up. The thought terrified him. His hands started shaking and his heart pounded against his ribs just thinking about it. But a part of him, the part that had been nurtured over months of consistent practice, knew he had to do it. Backstage, the nervous energy was almost unbearable. He could hear the murmur of the crowd on the other side of the curtain. Just as he was about to go on, his father appeared by his side. He placed a steadying hand on Nilan's shoulder and whispered, "You've already won, son. You've won because you never gave up." When the spotlight hit him, Nilan took a deep breath, closed his eyes, and thought of the little mango tree. Then, he played. Every chord was filled with the memory of his patience. Every note was infused with the sting of his initial pain and the strength of his persistence. The hall, once buzzing with chatter, fell completely silent, captivated by the music pouring from his guitar. When the final note faded, there was a moment of stunned silence, and then the room erupted in applause. Through the cheers, Nilan saw his father in the front row, tears of joy streaming down his face. In that moment, Nilan finally understood. Consistency hadn't just made him a better guitar player, it had turned his dream into a reality. Later that night, as Nilan placed his guitar back in its stand, he found a small, folded note on his desk. It was from his father. He opened it and read the simple, powerful words, "Consistency is the bridge between dreams and success. Keep crossing it one small step every day." Nilan smiled, holding the note close to his heart. The magic wasn't in a sudden burst of effort. The true power was in the quiet, humble act of never stopping, of showing up every single day, no matter how small the step. Great things, he now knew, simply take time. Don't forget to like and subscribe to follow along.